How does someone learn to believe in their worthiness?
Yeah.
Period. Whether there's success or not success. Because sometimes people achieve everything and still don't believe in their worthiness.
Still don't believe in their worthiness.
So how do we get to that place?
So for me, this is an answer that goes back to what I really believe. And I'm a pastor by nature. I work in all types of different fields. But there was a place in my life that I didn't feel worthy of anything. And I believe that there is a higher power, a divine creator, God, Jesus, for me, is what I believe with my whole heart that transformed my life. And what ended up happening in this process for me, Louis, I was a bad person. Like, how I became a pastor,
Lie, cheat, steal.
The whole nine, addicted to all kinds of different things, all that other stuff. And at my lowest moment, I was reading the Bible, and for the first time in a long time, I felt loved. I felt worthy. I felt like, for God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten son. Whosoever believes in him could not perish but have everlasting life. And hold on, all of this happened on a maybe, whoa, hold on. Somebody, while I was yet a sinner doing everything that was filthy and jagged and raggedy and horrible, you loved me. And I started reading these scriptures and something connected in my heart. I can't explain it. People are like, that's not real. Nobody can take this experience away from me because I know who I was. And I know how jacked up I was. And I know how backwards my thinking was. And I know how perverted I was. And I know how manipulated I was. The person I am today is only because I found my worthiness in a creator, not from a creation. A car is a creation. But there's a creator. Our phones are a creation. That iPad's a creation. But the creator, people, creations. But from the creator, that's where you only can find identity. And so I went back and I just went on this journey of discovering my faith and discovering God and what I came out of that with, bro, nobody could ever take anything away from me. I got not happiness, I got joy. I didn't get relief, I got peace. I didn't get a sexual satisfying experience, I got love. Wow. And from that place, I began to take steps of progression on my purpose. I started forgiving people. Do you know what type of weight it is lifted off of your life when you walk forgiving people?
It's amazing.
Bro, it is
holding your grudge is heavy, man.
It is devastating. Gosh. But it gave me the ability and the power to begin to forgive people that I was holding grudges, get to say sorry, to own up to stuff. And it's crazy how when you become a better person, moving and maneuvering in the image of Christ, in my opinion, and in my belief and in my experience, it changes everything around you. I'm able to be a light anywhere I go. People don't have to believe how I believe or anything. And I come in and I'm like, man, I like talking to you. I was like, bro, you would have hated talking to me 7 years ago. But let me tell you what happened to me. And that's where I say, you cannot find identity in something that didn't create you. And if my iPhone breaks, I don't go to Honda to figure out how to get it fixed. Not because Hondas didn't make something, it's because they didn't make that. Right. I would go to Apple. The same thing with me and you. I really do believe when you need to find the origination, even if you had bad parents, had a traumatic past, you did things that were horrible. When you go back and you connect to your faith and you see what God says about you, how you're fearfully and wonderfully made, you're the head and not the tail, you're beautifully and wonderfully made. There's a purpose before you were even formed in your mother's womb. God knew you and that he has a plan and a purpose for you. When you start taking off the lies and believing the truth, I'm telling you, from that place, it starts to transform and change everything. And the only reason I'm sitting here talking to you is because I went through that transformation process. And now I'm able to live in joy, hope, peace, and I just hope that everybody experiences that at some place in their life, bro.
I love that, man. And you said you can't heal what you won't reveal. About 8 years ago, I started to share my shame, the things that I was afraid to reveal. And I wasn't able to heal. I realized that statement that you said right there is so powerful for me because for 25 years, I was holding on to pain, shame, resentment, anger, frustration. And I've talked about this many times publicly about dealing with sexual abuse as a child, holding on to that for so long. It wasn't until I started to share the shame where I was able to start the healing process. And I think a lot of people hide their shame, and it's hard to heal if you're hiding, right? It's really hard to heal.
So good.
So how does someone get to a place of sharing, opening up, revealing so that they can heal when it is so dark, so painful, so traumatic from something in the past.
So this is where counseling comes in heavy, you know what I'm saying? Or good, in my opinion, godly community. Like people who you can tell that won't trash you while you're peeling back this onion. Like, you know what I'm saying?
You're super vulnerable.
When you're super vulnerable. And people make circles based on success a lot of times in networking instead of making circles based on insulation. When you have a circle around you, you need an insulation. You need people you can be your 100% self with, and they protect you and cover you, not cover up, but cover you and help lead you to the right place. And for me, I had that. I had a good godly community as well as we had counseling.
Yeah.
And sometimes you gotta be able to be put in positions that make you answer questions you don't wanna answer and talk about things that nobody wants to, like when they start asking you, what's one thing that happened to you when you were younger? And I would encourage everybody to ask you this. What's one thing that happened to you when you were younger that negatively shaped who you are today?
Yeah, a lot of things for me.
But see, if you answer that question honestly, you start opening up the things that probably there needs to be some more conversations about.
What happens if we don't open up and talk about those things?
It's the same thing that happens when you put food that was good at one point and you leave it by your bed for 3 months. It
rotten.
festers, it spoils, it rots.
There's some maggots in there.
And then it attracts, hold on, watch. It attracts things that will eat off of it. This is what some of our relationships look like. And then it becomes the aroma of your living.
Ooh, it becomes your environment.
It becomes your environment. It doesn't matter how many millions you spend on the bedroom if something's rotting in the corner. It doesn't matter how many Gucci, Prada, it doesn't matter how many Maserati, it doesn't matter how many times you 10x'd it, it doesn't matter if your soul is rotting, if your love is spoiled, if your emotions have eroded. And that's what I tell people. A lot of times we dress up something that is completely contaminated. And I just didn't want to live like that. I was affecting, people could smell the aroma of my life. Have you ever met somebody you're like, something, I don't know, that's what a lot of us look like spiritually, emotionally, and in our relationships is because we haven't dealt with the things. And it's been there since you were 6, 7, 15, 22.
They don't teach us how to deal with these things.
No. And that's why, for me, especially in my context, especially in church and business and all that, I'm like, yo, we got to talk about relationships. We got to talk about counseling. We got to talk about inner healing. We got to talk about our faith. We got to talk about this because I've seen too many people get to what they thought was the mountaintop and it feel emptier than a different season in their life.
I want to bring it back to jealousy for a second.
Let's go.
Why are we jealous human beings? And is there a place in which we can be completely not jealous of our partner or someone else?
Yeah, so jealousy is our nature. We are all born with a nature that you do not. I have kids, I don't have to teach them how to be bad. Like all of my kids learn no, mine. I never taught any of my kids those words. I have to teach them share. I have to teach them give.
Yeah, contribute.
Can help.
Yeah.
We're all born with what I call a lower nature, a sin nature that's in us. And jealousy is the primary nature that is formed there. All the way back to Cain and Abel. The first two brothers kill each other over jealousy. Like, it's our nature. And so what you have to do is fight that nature with the thing that is countered that nature. So when you think jealousy, when you think competition, when you think selfishness, you have to do the opposite of those things. You have to celebrate others. You have to be generous. You have to give. The only way to put out the fire is given the opposite thing. And so I found in my life that, again, we can't act like this stuff is not real because we'll never deal with it. A lot of people won't even admit they're jealous of something. Jealous that the friend got a new house, or everybody's getting married and they're not, or jealous that doesn't even happen. So those people, they just tuned us out right now.
Sure.
But for anybody that would actually admit, hey, there's areas in my life that I wish I had what they had. I'm coveting those things. When you start to give what you wish you had, somehow those things begin to come into your life in a different way, or you don't desire them anymore. And that's how I have found for me that I give what I desire to have. It's the principle of sowing and reaping. Okay, so when we were in a season, I'll talk about it business-wise. When I was in a season of not making a lot of money and was trying to really figure out, like, how am I gonna, like, I want to marry this girl. I want to do this. I want to, you know what I'm saying? I need savings. I need investments, all that other stuff. And I heard so strongly in my time of devotion, hey, you need to give something to somebody who's where you want to be. They already got it. That doesn't matter. That doesn't make sense. And it was almost like, instead of looking at what they had and trying to be like, I wish I had that. Okay, become a part of it. Sow into it. Give what you desire to somebody else and help their journey. And it's the principle of sowing and reaping. You're always going to reap whatever you sow. So you might as well sow good things, because everything you give out is coming back with friends. Like, and
hopefully it's good friends.
If you sow good seed. Right. But if you didn't, it's coming back with friends. And that was a game-changing moment, and I've become generous. Generosity kills jealousy. Like, like when you start helping people, giving to people, networking with people. And then the other thing that's very practical with jealousy, if you don't see it, you won't be jealous of it. So many people are jealous because of overexposure. There are certain things I'm not supposed to know about somebody else's life, but because of the culture we live in today, I'm jealous of things that I didn't even know existed.
It used to be in the, I guess, 50s and 60s, the Joneses, where it's like the neighbor.
Yeah.
You saw the neighbor's house and car. You didn't go see everyone's house and car on social media.
And that's where, again, I think we come back to the idea of margin.
Yeah.
Like, there are days of every week that I cut off my social media. Like, there are time periods when I go on that sabbatical, I'm off of social media the whole month.
Wow.
A month.
Are people posting for you, though, or content?
No,
Nothing.
I tell them to go black.
Wow.
Now, think about this. When I'm talking to book publishers and people I've made contracts with and everything like that, and telling them, hey, just before we sign this, I want you to know that once a year, I go black. I won't be posting. I won't be promoting. I won't be doing anything. And I'm telling you, they freak out. And I said, but I promise you, when I do this, it's going to make me more fruitful in everything else I do. Yeah. And now any partner that's been with me, they're like, oh, we understand now. They're still scared to do it. Like, but and again, I went off the number, I was, by the grace of God, I was on the #1 New York Times bestseller for 3 weeks. And we were on the top 10 New York Times bestselling list for 15 weeks in a row. Wow. I went off a New York Times bestseller list because I went on sabbatical. So I knew I was going to take myself off of the New York Times bestsellers list because I was going to stop promoting my book.
Wow.
And I did it. Now, for some people, that would seem stupid. For me, that was success. I was unattached.
Yeah.
My worth
to the results,
was not based on being on New York Times bestseller for 30 weeks. Never went back on it yet. Haven't got back. It's not like I'm trying to, no. I'm just grateful the fact that we did it once.
Yeah.
It happened. But I'm still worth it. I'm still a good guy. I'm still loved. I'm still, no matter if I'm, somebody in the book publishing world may think I'm nothing, but I know who I am. And those are the type of decisions that are countercultural, that people don't understand, but that's why I have my peace. That's why I'm full of joy. That's why when I talk to you, I don't got to put on any type of allure and act like I'm bigger than I am. Because I'm actually, when all of this is over, I'm going to be good. Like, I'm going to actually go back to the hotel with my daughters, take them to the pool. I'm actually going to enjoy and be fulfilled in what I believe God has called me to do. And so it really is one of those things that jealousy many times comes from being overexposed. So if you would limit your exposure, it would help you. Think about it. When horses run in the Preakness and in the Kentucky Derby, there's a very inexpensive piece of equipment that is very
blinders, as a focus.
very intentional
Effective,
to them
yeah.
and effective to the horses winning. Blinders. And the reason is because if they could see the other horses, they would go into their lanes and be disqualified.
My goodness.
Think about
Get
how many of
distracted,
us are distracted and getting ultimately disqualified because we're jealous of somebody else's lane when we already have our own to run.
We got to run our own race.
Come on, bro.
We got to run our own race,
Come
man.
on, bro. and for some reason, it's not sexy enough to have one lane. You got to have 10 lanes.
You want every lane.
You want the track.
You want the world.
But you want, and I'm just saying, like, maybe, just maybe, I'm saying I know everything, but maybe the end result of running in several lanes is not the fulfillment and the success that we think it is.
How do you create a financial abundant mindset as a pastor of a church where it's probably, I'm assuming, taboo to be talking money or be thinking, let's build wealth and abundance as a pastor, as a church? You guys have publicly announced acquiring this $40 million arena center in Tulsa, which is amazing, and creating communities and opportunities for people there. How did you, one, go from not acquiring a lot of wealth and an abundance mindset? Maybe you had it before. How did you transition that, knowing that I am a pastor where people are going to judge me based on how much money we bring in, based on these things? How do you manage that stigma maybe, and also be at peace with creating financial abundance? And how can we learn to create financial abundance in a spiritual way?
So I love that question. That's a good question, bro. I think the first thing that you have to realize is I'm aware of the landscape of most pastors in the world when it comes to finances, where there's been a lot of abuse, there's been a lot of misuse, mistrust. And so the first thing that I did when I came in as a pastor is I decided, it goes back to what I've talked about in relationships, that I was going to be completely transparent. So like every year we tell the church every dollar, every cent that came in, we tell them that every dollar that comes in, 10+% is going out in missions. We let people know what we're doing, how it's going to happen. And you can't make anybody give to a nonprofit. You cannot make anybody, I mean, they have to do that on their own. We don't make a big deal about any of those things. We decided that finances would be the fruit and not the focus. And I think that's something that everybody needs to adapt. A lot of times money and finances is the focus. But I believe that if you make the focus people, the focus reaching purpose, the focus helping others, then finances is the fruit, not the focus. And for us, that has been our entire mission. When I took over our church, we started in a converted grocery store in the hood of Tulsa. So like, I didn't come from this big machine of people understanding. There was less than 300 people that came to my church, and most of them was sitting there like, he not gonna make it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, let's be honest. And I just told people that this is going to be a generous church. And I remember it. I remember the day everything changed for our church. I was reading a book by another pastor named Robert Morris called The Blessed Life. And he was talking about how many churches and nonprofits talk about give to get. And really the principle of the Bible and God is give to give, not to get. Like we're giving just as an extension of love, not because...
Not expecting something in return.
Like for God so loved the world that he gave, like without an expectation of return. And I said, that's what we're gonna do. I went to our platform, less than 300 people in our church, and I said, hey guys, today, I just really feel that we're supposed to raise money and none of it's supposed to help us. It's supposed to go out and help other people. And you should have seen the faces of those people. They were like, huh? Like, what do you mean? Like, how are we gonna do this? And I was like, I want us to be a generous community that blesses people in need, blesses other churches, blesses nonprofits and people who are helping with sex trafficking. Like, let's just do it. And we raised $8,300 and something dollars.
That day.
Wow. And we gave it all away. And that was the seed that went in the ground that I believe transformed our mindset around the thought that it is more blessed to give than it is to receive. And from that point on, keeping transparency, teaching, being honest, and then being prepared. See, this is the big thing people don't understand, is preparation is really the avenue that you're ready for the big things that are coming to come in your life. When this arena came open, it was because we had years of preparation, being generous, giving to people, teaching, and then saving, and then being ready. And then this $50 million arena came available. We were able to get it for like $10.5 million and pay it off in 6 months.
Crazy.
That only it is crazy. It's crazy faith. It's crazy. It doesn't make sense at all. The only reason it happened though is because we had practical preparation with principles of generosity.
Yes.
And I think those are two things that everybody can take.
If you want to know the secrets to becoming more attractive, then check out this powerful video with relationship expert Stefan Speaks.
In most situations, when it takes months, you have not fallen in love, you've learned to tolerate them. You've grown attached to them. All right?